And Craig, I'm going to turn it over to you so that you can do the second half of our wonderful programming.
Great. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for coming today. Just as a note, if you don't see a little mute symbol next to your image or your name, make sure that you are muted so we don't get background noise while we're doing the readings. Congratulations to all our winners. What a fantastic year we had. You know, one of the best participations we've had since like 2015. And we had some really quality work, and everybody who submitted should be really proud of what they accomplished. We're going to go in order of the anthology. We had got that received this week, and I did get to the award winners. I've mailed all of those as of Thursday, so you should be having them shortly. And we will start with the Poet Laureate Award. Now, just as a refresher to everybody, Poet Laureate Award had two levels of judging. We had a preliminary judge, and then Jackie Shelton Green did the final selection. So the preliminary judge, who was Michael Rothenberg, he chose, out of all the entries we received, he chose 10 to be finalists, and then Jackie Shelton Green chose the winning work. So we're going to start with our winner, and that is Joyce Brown, and her winning poem, Elegy for Joe. So Joyce, if you'll unmute and read your poem. Still got you muted there, Joyce. Go ahead and it should be in the left, bottom left corner. There you are.
There. Okay, I forgot to unmute. You ready for me to go ahead and read it then?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Elegy for Joe, who died November 26, 1938. His brother Jay drafted to war December the 3rd, 1941. Down among the groundlings, among the beggars and rakers of the garbage, profound passion is enacted, and the circumstances that provoke it, however trivial or mean, are no measure of its power. Herman Melville's Billy Budd. He'd come down to borrow shells again for that old gun they'd passed from farm to farm. She'd given them freely, adjuvant to schoolboy plot. He'd laughed, towed the dirt, shook sun-fared hair, walked on up to play at being child, not farmer's boy born to hoe and seed his years away in hard-packed clay. Close-tied brothers, yoked by birth and soul, ruled by stern dark faces duty-locked. They'd steal some time to hide from father's brow. They'd find themselves a secret day of youth, puff fake tobacco out from family eyes, cross the field behind the rock, beside the favored tree, where boy-tromped ground had marked their only ownership of self. How could she have known to tell him, "No, I'll save your life, young Joe. Stay with me. Don't walk on up that rain-red road. Don't pause to laugh and lean on sycamore. Don't prop that joint loose gun against its trunk. Don't lay such sorrow at your brother's feet. Go home and slop the hogs, build chicken coops." But boys will play in chance's fiery field. They'll puff and blow on rabbit weed, and then they'll practice bad boy jokes and stoic sneers, their shotguns talisman of work-free worlds. One shift of leather sole against wet bark. Farm boy, flesh flashes into myth. Brother's throat-rent scream against the blood rings forth the patriotic passion he'll be praised for soon. A boy whose skill was aimed toward squirrels and hares for Sunday feast. Legends grow of sweet Joe's dying words. Don't leave my sisters like you left me. Show you love them like you never showed me. shades of Christ in pleas of blood-soaked boy, free and cleansed from sins of adult boyhood's pranks. Guilt stain piercing the ant who had handed the shells, tainting the farmer who had lent the ancient gun, soaking the boy who had tried to stop the blood. Absorbed in family farms, tasted through years of kin who heard of martyred Joe, his smile, his death. It burns still, flowing in blood of family veins, the iron red taste, unstopped, unthwarted, unchecked. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. So, as I said, there were 9 remaining finalists. Now, we don't print the finalist poems in the Pine Songs anthology so that those poets have the opportunity to use these, poems for other publications, for other contests. But we do list them and invite those poets to read here at Awards Day. So our first finalist to read, Hugh Findlay for Frank O'Hara Gets Dirty in Bull City. Hugh, I believe you're here, if you'll unmute. Hugh, are you?
Sorry, I got it.
There you go. Thank you.
Frank O'Hara Gets Dirty in Bull City. How dirty you taste today, Durham, like Kevin Costner in anything. He's always the same anyway, just like you underlying everything, no matter the eclectic dirties who crowd your breweries and clatches down on 9th Street, where the crusty anti-bougie shop owners grouse about the posers on the sidewalk, or when the parking rates go up, or even if it rains, which makes things dirtier. They just don't bullhorn it so they can say they are so relaxed, so they can flow south forever like the Carolina Zephyr past Sam's Blue Light for 44 years running. Let's go then to the generational fruit salad Saturday morning at the farmer's market, where mixing is the point, because without it, nobody would go, or smoke the short, fat, black vapes that are just loud enough to make a statement while wearing rainbow Rasta hats and Bluetooth earbuds, where the family dogs and tie-dyed kids swirl around like a vodka and Campari, and new mothers show off their new babies and new boobs and new worldview. Next street over at the food truck rodeo, we grab an only burger, topped with egg and Gruyere and green salsa, and I swear it's totally amazing, but also bloats you, so we head back Jonesing then to the low-density downtown apartment condo with pool and gym privileges, fenced in, of course, brownstone that keep out the gentrified street trash and gangbangers, half a blunt and a 420 nap, then Uber to the ballpark, either for Duke versus Navy or the Bulls against anybody, doesn't matter. It's all overcast afternoon lollygagging anyway, and damn cheap when you think about it, not like a hockey game, which to your bank account is like a hickey on Sunday morning. And after that, that new rooftop bar is too crowded, but Alley 26 is always dependable. And everyone drinks this week's best dirty, neat bourbon ever until the foul subject of basketball comes up. And you better crash before you fight again or purge. So we go all chicken and waffles at Elmo's for breakfast, and afterward there's Wi-Fi and coffee down at Coco's with DeMarcus and Taylor. He's so sweet, he won't come out. I don't know what he's waiting for. Maybe it's the Prince Albert. And you know she can be rough as a cob, even with her marvelous all-natural tan. But you can't choose your roommates sometimes. I wonder if they hook up sometimes. I wonder if she'd hook me up sometime. I don't know. I can't even seem to choose my friends anymore. I always accept requests. The rush just jacks me up, and I need the bump after nights of being out there. It's kind of like work, it really is. Now around the corner, we can ease into Motor Co. or the Blue Note, and maybe catch Ben Folds or Fonte working out something dope. But we opt for Full Steam Brew House and have a kakalaki or pumpkin IPA with all the dirties there in jammy pants and t-shirts with arcane emblemania, all your base are belong to us, and $50 gauges and damn gorgeous colored ink past elbows with necklines, and with white boys and dreads talking Linux and wedge-heeled Latinas throwing shade on black dudes face sucking their white girlfriends and lesbians hanging until it's just not dirty enough and they wander back to the bar where they can use any bathroom they want. so I have to jack it back and chill a sec. And then just to take inventory and get a filthy, thick flavor, I count 29 iPhones and 59 eyeballs, all lapping up the love of Mr. Nobody on Zantac and mint mocha lattes. Sweet Bull City is so dirty to be alive. They ain't got shit in Chapel Hill. Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. All right. Next we have Janet Ford with My Father and I Have Nightmares. Janet, you here? I think I see you, but
can you hear me?
Perfect.
You got me? All right, thank you. My father and I have nightmares. I see you, Father, when the snakes came, green under the covers. They came damp, palms over my 12-year-old thighs with open mouths, while just across the sheetrock, that barn in France burned to the ground again on your watch. There's the slippered scuff of your tartan flannels, dowdy and warm with the smell of the bed. Your soldier's eyes, methadoned and mild. A simple thing, the comfort of a child. How does the world come to be out of nothing? You hold out your hand and light strafes the mystery. Chin stubble waddles in uplight. This face has known the enemy. Come out, you bloody sack rat. Windows rattle in their frames. Now the gnarls of your broken hands take the corners of my sheet, and the night air snaps like laundry on a line as white wings rise. I feel the flap of a bird trapped in my bed. Fly. You said things only I could hear. I bellow strength to climb the air, and when I let go, the bed sheet falls like sleep. I still see how it slews and banks across the brightening to land at last, my Father, at your feet. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. All right, Jeanne Julian for River in Your Living Room. Jeanne?
Thank you.
Thank you.
River in Your Living Room, Hurricane Flat, New Bern, North Carolina. If a river in your living room recedes, dread remains like those legions of dead fish stranded gasping on Interstate 40 after floodwaters subside. At first you cling, grope in the stew of ruin, then recklessly you want to purge it all, destroy any emblem of deluge, banish any hint of topsy-turvy. And even if your own safest space were not invaded, if water never filled your, like a fishbowl, your home place, you're submerged in what might have been. The flood's ghost laps upon your walls, authenticates your framed seascapes. You open drawers and silverware seems to float into your hand. Your goblets appeared to bob like buoys in midair, washed out of their comfortable cabinets. Your clothes hang wetly in the dry closet. You know that anything you place here or here can be displaced as if you live in the Titanic. Hearing the rush of water, "What's that?" my friend Susanna says, staring at the front door, haunted by the surge. "It's just the laundry. I threw some towels in." Now everywhere, whimsy signals calamity. The ursine landmark statue in the public park becomes detritus dire as Delmore's heavy bear, drifting upright in the water's clasp, then released, plunked down in Main Street like a baffled cop directing Dada traffic. A sailboat grounded, cockeyed against City Hall. Streets barred by pillars, the current pillaged from the Queen Street condos. On sidewalks, wayward scraps of plywood scrawled with, "Go away." On the curbs, in front of every household, piles of wreckage build and build vengeful offerings to an angry God. Here, take this mold-upholstered sofa as your throne. Craft your palace from our scraps of sodden drywall. Meanwhile, remnants of an osprey nest dangle from the wreck of a channel marker. One swallowtail wanders a blighted garden awash with flotsam. Weeks pass, and still, swill and ash cascade down the Cape Fear River.
Very nice. Thank you.
So you got to turn that off right now.
Okay. Next we have Arachnidea by Stephen Pollock.
Thank you, Craig. Can you hear me? This poem is entitled Arachnidea, Line Drawings. Part 1. Extravagance at dawn. Your finest threads are strung with pearls, and you, a brooch with a clasp. Magnify the shiny spheres to divine that each conceals a miniature, an image of struggling wings, of life undone. Pass at the critical angle, and they flash and snap in the sun. Part 2. These haunts are hung haphazardly with votive offerings, each sucked dry. Papier-mâché sarcophagi, cruel chrysalis for moth or butterfly. Part 3. Serial killer, insecticide, the skill in which you specialize. Can we call it murder if nerves connect not to brain, but to canister, chain, and gear? If the dumb drive to survive directs your every move? Or is it fear that fuels your addiction to others' pain? A numbness spreading through the vein as you rehearse again this ritual play. Bind and consume in your quick, kinetic way. Part 4. A stickler for particulars, you're helpless to repel the pull of perpendicular, the lure of parallel. Do lines and circles insulate? Can order keep at bay the random drafts that propagate contagion, death, decay? The chords are taut. You draw control from patterns meant to thwart unraveling, but the tension takes its toll on the mental weft and warp. Part 5. A concert in the round. Divertimenti scored for 8 short hands will be played by the maestro for adoring fans. The fine fretwork glistens. The strings tune and go still. Once in motion, you dazzle in the parts for pizzicato. Leap with ease over fourths and fifths. Scuttle up scales to a dizzying height, then plummet by octaves to the sublime. All are amused for a time. The circle is crossed by chords, point to counterpoint, illusions of balance, of words. Listen to the last mournful strains, murmuring a requiem for the days. Part 6. The hours molt and fall away. The year grows late. Your web's worn watch face ticks in whispers, and you pray that you will hibernate but briefly and somehow wake. As if by grace, the breaths of winter fog the panes, leave no trace of love or joy or even hate. There are, in the end, only the frayed strands of time, the failing light, and you, splayed at the center, condemned to wait. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Our next was Connie Ralston with thematic variations on GFCBA. I don't believe Connie's here, but Connie, if you are, unmute and say hello. No, okay, didn't think so. Now we have Erica Rothman with The Fourth Pillow.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Stephen, you might need to mute, but yes, Erica, you go ahead.
Okay. The fourth pillow. 3 mounds of white lay on the bed, confused about purpose. Before you died, we each had 2 pillows, 2 for reading, then 1 tossed off for sleep. After you died, I couldn't bear the 4, and I couldn't bear the 2. 3 mounds lay on the bed, 2 for reading, 1 for remembering you by. The dog thinks now it's her job to play the role. Her black, white self rolls into shape like a nursing pillow. It's her kisses now that greet me too early, her need to start the day that sends me to coffee. I have never ventured to your side of the bed, turned over to find myself in the middle. I have never wondered what it would be like to enter or depart from the other side. Is it a wish that somehow you'll find your way back and want to claim the familiar side? Or am I scared of stretching out, taking up space, extending limbs into what was ours?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if you'll go ahead and mute, then our next is Maria Rafael with Margie Skips a Grade.
Yeah.
There you
Yes.
go, Maria.
Yeah, thank you. Margie skips a grade. Imagine a sallow girl, tall for her age and quiet, in a Bronx classroom with high double-hung windows and looming pendulum lights. Imagine that girl with her chin in her hand while her classmates stumble over AI, IA, IE, EI, and the multiplication tables and those long division problems she'd conquered in no time flat. Imagine Mrs. Levy writing her parents a note in the midterm report card about their very bright daughter, accomplished in every subject beyond all of her peers. She's headed to college, Mrs. Levy predicts in her beautiful hand, no question about it. Imagine the girl 6, maybe 7 years later telling herself, yes, I will go to university. I will become an anthropologist. I will live in India. I will write. Imagine her saying this out loud one night as she and her mother wash the dishes. The mother turns to the girl and shaking her head slowly says, there's no money. There's hardly enough food. For the sake of the little ones and their slacker father, the girl will instead go to work, Woolworths at first. Imagine her standing at that greasy sink in 1930, passing the dripping plates to her mother one by one, remembering Mrs. Levy and that once girl who had been so bright she skipped a grade. Imagine her at recess with her friends swarming in wonder, their hands touching her face, her hair, her arms. Oh, Margie, oh, Margie. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Melinda Thomsen is next with Corresponding with Richard Wilbur. Melinda?
Okay, I unmuted myself. Okay. Corresponding with Richard Wilbur. 1. I read his letter, expectant, until the 3rd sentence. These poems are very bad indeed. I refolded his iambic response, slipping it back in its sleeve, as if he were in the room. I remained suspended, like his lines. The astounded soul hangs for a moment bodiless and simple as false dawn. Reading more took washing dishes or walking 3 miles in no direction. That iambic pentameter line called for the tapping of a pileated woodpecker and a chickadee of a chickadee, or digging holes in the earth, or dropping seeds into its soil from pinched fingers. I reopened Bad Indeed and read, what I have just said may not strike you as kind, but it really is. You are too bright to go on writing uncommunicative poems. Oh, Milton, Drayton, Keats, Dickinson, Hardy, Rossetti, and Bishop, guide me. 2. Dear Mr. Wilbur, thank you very much for your thoughtful criticism. I recently joined a writer's workshop and the poets made comments like yours, yet not so colorfully. I also went to your poetry reading on June 15th and you signed my book. I was too embarrassed to introduce myself as I did not want to put a face to my name. I am dutifully reading Milton and writing sonnets. Respectfully, yours. 3. A postcard bearing Henry James' portrait arrived today. I wish you had introduced yourself. Often when I have offered negative criticism, people have taken offense and told me that I wasn't so hot myself. Your letter is very gracious. Warmest good wishes. 4. A year later, after sending fish food and first move, his 19-cent prepaid postcard arrived, novel and engaging, because you look at things with a keen eye and unusual angles. Good luck to you. I love this man. Thank you.
Very nice. All right, and then our final finalist for the Poet Laureate Award was Christina Zhang for Watching the Watcher. And Christina was not able to attend today. So we will move on to our next item. So part of the Susan Laughter Myers Fellowship Award is publication in the next Pine Song Awards. And Benjamin Cutler was our award winner for 2019. And I'm going to invite him to read Self-Portrait as an Oyster from the Clarenbridge Oyster Bed in Galway. Benjamin, you are here, I believe?
He was here before lunch, but I don't see him listed. Oh yeah, here he is.
Benjamin? Are you unmuted?
I'm unmuting you, Benjamin, but I think it has to go on your end because I can't do it. I'll try to ask him. Yep, I can't get him to unmute. Benjamin, can you hear us? Hi, Benjamin. Oh, good.
Yes. Can you hear me? All right, give me just a moment. I did not realize I was going to be reading this today.
Looks like we might be having a bit of problem with your
Yep, we'll give it just a minute. Try now, Benjamin, and see if it's working.
Yeah.
o'clock.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good. You're good.
All right, perfect. Self-portrait as an oyster from the Clarenbridge oyster bed in Galway. I have no pearl, but you have never wanted one, only to pucker my pearlescent skin with lemon. See how I quiver at this acid touch. This is how you know I am good, how you know I will fill your mouth with cool ocean. But do you know how many have come before me, pulled from this bed where river meets sea, where fresh meets salt, and for how many seasons of harvest? Even Yeats, in his dark and ancient tower, must have known us. Yeats, who loved a woman above his station, and then her daughter too, who was the image of her mother. Perhaps they tasted my kind as well. But I am not a meal for poets or lovers, daughters or mothers. Taste me, yes, but you will not be filled. You will not remember me by white stone or stony shell, but by the mineral sweet surf on your tongue, a brine which will linger until washed away. And like evening tide, another rises to your lips. Oh, how like a gray moon I shine and wane, sliding into your horizon, replaced by another dawn. Thank you.
Thank you, Benjamin. We'll be hearing from you later. All right, well, moving on to our awards. First, we're going to start with the Alice Osborne Award, which are for poems written for children from the ages of 2 to 12 years old. That's poems written by adults for children. Our judge this year was Carolyn Gunzio, and our first place winner was Edward Garvey for In the Attic. So Edward, if you'll unmute and read your poem, please.
Unmute. Okay, thank you. Everyone can hear? In the attic. The day is unimportant, a quiet winter day. A father climbs the stairway to a bedroom, the bedroom to an attic. His son follows just to follow, stopping on the final step, waiting on the bedroom edge. The task is unimportant, yet another simple task. Something upstairs is needed down. The father enters first the closet. The son enters quickly after. First the closet, then the attic. His father clears a path. The box is unimportant, a box too heavy, open wide. As the father looks deep inside, the boy looks past to walls and shadow. Pausing, moving slowly forward, he watches careful, step by step. The attic is unimportant. The attic only rarely seen. Walls marked by studs, each fixed in place. Then a corner, not a corner. Instead, a rounded arc of sturdy brick. He asks his father, "What is this?" The chimney is important. This chimney, oh so small. Yes, large enough for smoke to pass into night, the fire below. But how could he worm such heavy weight and his sack of treasure even larger? The day is unimportant, a quiet winter day. A father on his knees, his son turns round again. The closet light falls between them like a stream. The father turns to see his son step surely into light. Thanks.
Thank you, Edward. Our second place winner was Arlene Mendel for Baby Bird and the Daisies. She couldn't attend but asked for me to read it for her, so I will do that now. Baby Bird in the Daisies. I found a baby bird, lifeless, on my doorstep, and buried him tenderly in the darling daisy patch. I never saw him among the other birds who come to feed every day. This little life, so precious, must have gotten lost from his parents, from his home, and through a guiding spirit found his way to me. I said a prayer over the earth where I put his tiny body, telling him softly I would remember him and cradle him in my mind. I told him this so that he did not die without being loved. Now we'll move on to honorable mentions. Our first honorable mention is Les Brown for That Time I Sat on Arthur Dellinger's Tractor. Les, if you'll go ahead and unmute, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. That Time I Sat on Arthur Dellinger's Tractor. Arthur Dellinger's rusting 8-in Ford tractor sat catty-cornered near our mailbox where he left it in the mowed hayfield stubble of our field when he went home for supper. Daddy said I was too little to drive it. A short walk down the gravel driveway was permitted by Mama because it was the same as going to check the mail. I went down there and knee crawled up on Arthur's padded red seat that had some stuffing coming out, pretending to drive like Arthur, turning the wide black steering wheel this way and that. The clutch and the brake pedals were out of my reach with my short legs, but I pushed air through my tight lips, making tractor sounds, pulling knobs and pushing buttons. Suddenly the tractor roared to life, growling like a rabid dog. It didn't move, but it rattled as the motor kept running, more frantic pushing buttons and pulling knobs. It didn't stop the roaring. One knob made the motor go louder. One knob had letters on it, CHOKE. Pulling that knob as far out as it would go made the motor start coughing like Daddy did when he smoked his Camel cigarettes. It sputtered and puffed blue smoke and died. Mama asked me why my eyes were red. Thank you.
All right. And now a little bit of synchronicity. We have Joyce Brown with Playing in the Garden. And Les, if you'll mute yourself, please.
Okay, you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
You hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, Playing in the Garden. Snake slithers slyly by, hoping I won't speak. He's green as peas and broccoli, things I don't like to eat. Oh, I won't hurt you, Mr. Snake. Why are you so shy? Because, dear child, I know you're kind and I don't want to die. Oh, don't be silly, Mr. Snake. Just look in the mirror and see you don't look so good to eat. You're far too green for me. But critters like me who crawl on by just doing our household tasks scare people like you who are bigger than me. They don't even bother to ask. Truth to tell, we help them out by eating bugs and rats. We're here to grab a munch or two and then we'll quickly scap. So tell your parents, my pretty one, we wish only joy and peace. We won't touch your broccoli and we'll never eat your peas. That was profound.
Thank you, Joyce. All right. Our last honorable mention for the Osborne Award is Martin Settle for Camels for Two. Martin, you still with us?
I am.
There.
I unmuted, but I still see your face. It's a privilege, I know, but all right. Is it ready?
Yes, you're ready. Go ahead.
All right. Camels for Two. If you ever decide to marry, never buy a dromedary. A camel with a single hump means someone sliding off the rump. The Bactrian, on the other hand, can ride two across the sand. Now you know what to do if asked. Would you like one hump or two?
Thank you, Martin. Thank you. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to the Joanna Catherine Scott Award. And this was judged by Pamela Johnson Parker. And our first place for this award is Barbara Blanks with In My Defense.
Okay, here I am. Okay, I'm thrilled because I so rarely win in North Carolina. In my defense, my brother was the favorite. It made me crazy. I was firstborn. Mom and Dad neglected me except when I was bad. Arcana's raising hell again dismayed me. I'd retreat outside to work my spade. My crops were sumptuous when ripe. Egad, I thought the Lord would favor me. Be glad I sacrificed my best. But Abel played me for a fool and slew the purest lamb as tithe. The Lord brushed mine aside, a heap of trash. He wanted blood? Forget the sham of equal love. He held my labored sheep. I showed them both. Cast Abel down by dam. I sowed him, left him for the Lord to reap.
Nice, thank you, Barbara.
And Craig,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I hate to read and run, but my meeting is going to start in just a couple of minutes, so I need to switch over to that now. Okay. But I thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. Yeah, good luck with that one.
Thanks.
Okay, so second place for the Scott Award was Melinda Thomsen with The Sun's Uprising.
Okay, The Sun's Uprising. Response to John Donne's The Sun Rising. Busy old fool, unruly Donne, you're such a pain. Pull those east-facing drapes to greet the sun. My job's to brighten the day, so why complain? Even school kids are up and gone. The snails and ants have faster gaits than you, for it's already an hour past dawn. God knows your Sunday sermons cannot wait, so please wake up your mistress for me as well. My daily carousel. Really? You prefer to roll in bed, scorning my rays, to bask in your sweetie's shining eyes instead? Why not enjoy this morning's full display of a fuchsia-defined horizon and swirling flocks of trilling starlings? The earth doesn't slow to a cedar resin's pace at your flat, or refrain from its whirling. It's Copernicus's law we abide by. Excuse me, but you've got the wrong bad guy. Okay, I see how she's your moon and I'm a pest. This afternoon's eclipse should change your tune and usher in some darkness to your nest. This spinning system can't ignore its duty, so don't risk your health or sanity with chatter calling for more sex. Rather, enjoy my prince's wealth of dew-tipped roses with your dearest friend, and let love blossom until the stars descend. Thanks.
Thank you. Very nice. All right, next honorable mention in this category is Nasal Biopsy by Stephen C. Pollock.
Craig, can you hear me?
Yes, Stephen can. Melinda, make sure that you mute, please.
This sonnet is entitled Nasal Biopsy. Nurse says there's a mass. I hear a requiem. See Gothic arches where Ailey and Columella frame a Nair and its twin. Is it malignant? Ushering this fear to my cathedral, I marvel how breath is born of air at the portals, inspiring the choirs commingling there. The priest wafts in, hovers in his shimmering shamir, but as he places the wafer on a tongue of gauze to share with pathology, I have to wonder, is it fair that a God should mete out grace or despair in proportion to fealty? That the hereafter, if not the here, should hinge on professions of faith? Does this square with cycles of nature? And what of those who dare to breathe in silence, mutes in the kingdom of prayer? Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. We also had an honorable mention from Kenneth Chomley for What the Famous Writer Said. I don't believe Kenneth was able to attend today. And we had a final honorable mention for Separate Ways by Ron Lavalette. And Ron asked me to read this for him. Separate Ways. She likes to travel, leaves him alone for days at home. And he, reclusive, easily a hermit, gladly stays at home. She likes to wake to the sound of surf and foggy sea, imagines him waking up in the mountain grays at home. Fog is fog, he tells her on the phone. It all burns off. But when she leaves, he finds himself in a haze at home. He makes the bed and cooks the meals. He's got his flutes and drums and all the things he plays at home. Still, he hopes he remains her beloved poet, immersed in words and searching for the perfect phrase at home. Okay, so we're going to move on to the McIntyre Award as soon as I find it. Sorry, here we go. And this was judged by Jeff Worley, who's Kentucky's current poet laureate. And the first place award winner for McIntyre was Nick Sweet. Again, Nick wasn't able to attend today, but asked me to read. So I will read his poem. This is entitled Ruse de Cézanne. Our first date was a gallery show, the fruits of Paul Cézanne. Though more than 40 years have passed, the memory lives on. I knew art was her major. Since I knew nearly nothing, I researched the artist's works to try and slide by bluffing. The first one was the painting Peaches, Pears, and Grapes. I spoke of cubist influence, cast of light and shape. She found the pears enchanting, called them naked gems. Diamonds in the buff? I asked. She laughed and took my hand. Eventually I knew she'd find my expertise baloney. Would I get an A for effort or be dismissed as a phony? Thank God she chose the former, and as I climbed the ladder of art appreciation, she taught me beauty mattered, even more than box scores, of which I was so fond. Since then, I've shared her loveliness. Merci, Monsieur Cézanne. Okay, somebody just came in. Could we get a mute on the Samsung? There we go, perfect. All right, next second place award for the McIntyre Light Verse Award, in case anybody hadn't guessed, that was the Light Verse Award category. And this is Jeanne Julian's Goodbye and Keep Chilled.
Goodbye and keep chilled. After Robert Frost, Goodbye and keep cold. This saying goodbye on the tipsy brink, I'd be over the edge with one more drink, reminds me of other narrow escapes in my passionate youth on those hapless dates when one more kiss would have sadly led to a tasteless tangle in a loveless bed. Leaving this last dram of Chardonnay for next night's glass is the only way to make sure I'll wake up clear-eyed, steady. With one last sip, I know I'm ready, and firmly replacing the cork, I store my tall green bottle in refrigerator door with milk and OJ, plugged airtight between 45 and 50 Fahrenheit. Nothing's worse than a wine gone sour from improper storage on kitchen counter. How often already you've had to be told, keep cold, dear wine, goodbye and keep cold. Let darkness and cellar temp prevail until it's time again for a shared cocktail. Let me assure you, that won't be at breakfast. I like my wine, but I'm not reckless, preferring to pair it not with cornflakes, but with salmon or pasta or sauteed crab cakes. For now, I'll sleep. By day, I'll work. I won't dream of it, dreaming there in the dark, waiting for someone to pop its cork. Yes, this parting is such sweet sorrow, but something has to be left for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on to honorable mentions. Jean Marie Olivieri for Husbandry is our first honorable mention.
Hi, thanks. Sorry, this is Husbandry. Husband number one was my ticket out of town, away from the local factory, which swallowed hopeless high school graduates. When we got to Vegas, I gave back the ring and told him kindly, it ain't no thing. Husband number two was my sugar daddy. He earned a living from the poker table and wore me like a decoration. But when he hit a losing streak, I left town with a computer geek. Husband number three was my baby daddy. It was all coos and cuddles until we argued about the dishes and the diapers. He gave me a boy, but not a better life, so I left him and he found a better wife. Husband number four was the high school coach. I went to all the hometown games to cheer on the team and wet his whistle. It turns out he was not a good lay, but my kid didn't need a dad anyway. My son is grown now with a wife of his own. I'm starting to feel that familiar itch. Hey, good looking, wanna get hitched?
Very nice. Okay, next we have Martin Settle, The Worship of Dog.
The worship of dog. Who knew in our evolution, as smooth as we are, how much we would miss fur? Its comfort, its gleam in the sun, its sensation on our hands, more stimulating than prayer. Who knew indelicate claws could open such fine cracks, burrow deep into loneliness, nudge a man to hope, convert a soul from numb to feel. Self-consciousness is not a grace. It does not wriggle. It does not leap when fetching joy. Its ambivalence hesitates before rolling in the grass, gnawing a bone tomorrow, mating naked outdoors, playing the fool. The oneness we seek in our religious paths, the dog has sniffed out long ago, with a martyr's loyalty, a votary's obedience, a priest's sacrament of flesh and blood. I'm sorry, dear God, your sacred name is best prayed backwards, and your most effective incarnation that dwells among us speaks no words.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, final honorable mention for this category is Joanne Hoffman for Generations.
Generations. Part 1. What my mother wrote in 1927. A girl of 20 dreams of these, a tiny house mid poplar trees, a book, his pipe, a curled up cat, his aftershave, his brown felt hat, and near the fire, an easy chair. When summer fades and winter stings and dark days lighten into spring, she dreams of bonnets, bottles, bibs, and in a nursery, in a crib, a silken infant sleeping there. Part 2. What my granddaughter writes in 2020. A girl of 20 thinks of these, her weekend plans, the GREs, more pepper spray, new MP3s, workout routines, a data freeze, her 10-year goals, depleted Cs, and getting highlights in her hair. When graduations rise and fall, and years fade backward, each like all, she tires of travel, competition, reports, reviews, market position, thinks instead of their small house, his presence there, his steady vows. And somewhere in a future fog, she sees a swing set and a dog, a virtual job, a rocking chair, 2 telephones, a Swiss au pair, and in her office, near her chair, a silken infant sleeping there.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
All right, our next award is the Bloodroot Haiku Award, sponsored by our own Bill Griffin. And this was judged by Julie Warther out of Ohio. And our first place winner is KJ Monroe, who's joining us from the Yukon in Canada.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kathy Monroe, and I'm coming to you from Whitehorse, Yukon Territory in northern Canada. And this is the traditional territory of the Kwanlin Dun First Nation and the Ta'an Quechan Council. And I want to thank Craig for all his hard work and all the judges and the society itself. And it's such an honor to be a part of this wonderful celebration of poetry. It's just a wonderful event, and I'm so thrilled to be here. And as I'm reading a haiku, I will read it twice. Empty begging bowl, the universe in a grain of rice. Empty begging bowl, the universe in a grain of rice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, second place award went to Carol McRory. And Carol, are you here? If you'll unmute. Okay, I guess Carol couldn't join us. Then we also, for honorable mentions in this category, we had Tracy Davidson and Glenn Coates and Ed Bremson. And Ed asked me to read his, so I will. And as with Kathy, I'll read twice as it is haiku. Sun rising on a school morning, the long cortege. Sun rising on a school morning, the long cortege. All right, we're now moving on to the Poetry of Courage Award. Our judge for the Poetry of Courage Award was Amelia Martins. And our first place winner was Hugh Findlay for Nam Man.
Thank you, Craig. Nam Man. In the green flesh of Happy Valley, I lay in ambush, waiting for them to come like birds into glass. With me, I have my dog because I say he is mine, and I have named him Fuck It. And the jungle dawn is late rising, and the tree above me pisses a black gel down my back. I am a lung that throws bullets like air, like planting seeds through their cancerous minds as they drop into rice paddies. This is how I deal with it, scared and mad, because scared means still alive, and mad means staying that way. Later, in the red sweat of morning, I will ooze down Happy Valley into its folds of skin, and me and Fuck It will breathe green seeds like splitting atoms.
Thank you, Hugh. Second place for Poetry of Courage Award was Kathy Ackerman with Waiting for Results. Kathy?
Thank you. Waiting for results. It's routine. Turn 40, have a mammogram. Find a lump, have another. We don't know the tiny dot on the quivering screen hasn't been there always. It is very small, may not change at all, may be meaningless, and half a year is not too long to wait. Because it is threatened, I have fallen in love with my own flesh. My mediocre breasts now are honeysuckle, rosehip, tropical sea, and rainbow. They are desperately alive under my clothes, my palms. I know now they know everything: temperature, dew point, pressure. They resist synthetics for the softer cheek of cotton. They arrive everywhere before me. They sense everything. I will honor them. Routinely, I will thank them, flesh and symbol. For every moment, they are mine. They are mine. Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy. Our first honorable mention for this category is Eric Wheel with My Mother Quit Smoking. Eric?
My mother quit smoking, January 12th, 1964. The gray ceramic horse's head ashtray with a fluted mane held her alpines, thin smoke rising as she painted or read. I don't recall pretending to smoke stale butts put off by lipstick and the smell my father tolerated for love. 1 pack per day, neither more nor less, discipline or budget as much as habit. When the Surgeon General issued his warning, the green and white package disappeared the next day. No fussing, no angry outbursts, no gum or mint substitutions, gone without a word. Until her friends had quit or died, the horse's head stayed on the coffee table, a clean totem. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Other honorable mentions for this category were Kenneth Chomley for Please Stand and Glenna D. Wolfe for A Day Different. Glenna has asked me to read her poem, and I will now. A Day Different. The green-clad nurse bustles and chatters, almost as nervous as I, in the surgical prep room. A shot in my arm is anodyne for us both. The orderlies squish in, wreathed in quiet smiles, and a wheel on the gurney squeaks. Molly, it says. By golly, it answers itself. I giggle. Chart on my chest, we maneuver right, then left, an alley length of hall. Nurses squelch by on rubber soles. Flushing noises. A metal lid bangs down. Someone's cell phone plays Willie Nelson. Through the heavy double doors we bump into extreme lights where all human tissue becomes clear, we hope, as it is parsed and scrutinized. The surgeon breathes my name. I am known here. He reminds me of which organ is to be flayed and why. Go on, rub it in. Last chance to disagree, to jump up and run, to smack those swinging doors hard. I nod. Though I wear a warm blanket, I'm shaking, gritting my teeth. The liveried doctor looms. My right eye leaks one tear, which runs into my ear. This large man lays his warm hand on my shoulder, dabs at my wet cheek. I sigh. 99, 98, 90. Okay, we're going to move on to the Poetry of Witness Award. This award was judged by Brendan Walsh, and our first place winner on this award was Kathy Ackerman for Disposable Rant. Kathy?
Disposable rant. Dear strangers, I beg you to bring your own, but you won't, because this is America. There's always enough. God of ecology, guide me in my purchase of cups. God of trees transformed to tissue, scratch pads, search warrants. God of forests I cannot see for the trees I wish to preserve as though they live forever. God of styrofoam that lives forever, salting our soil to sponge. God of steel workers, blister steel, clean canteens, flesh burned by molten splash, like the hands I want to protect with paper sleeves on my paper cups. God of plastic, 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 even the demigod of biodegradable lies, for it never truly degrades, while it degrades entirely our earth and seas. See that sand, sift that sand through your fingers. Look close among the shell bits ground by surf and time. That sand in your hands is what remains, degrading all it can. Our beaches made of plastic sand.
Thank you, Kathy. And second place for Poetry Witness Award was Paloma Capana for Junkyard Gives Up Secret Accounts of Massacre in Iraq. Paloma?
Junkyard gives up secret accounts of massacre in Iraq. 400 pages of interrogations were found by a reporter at a junkyard outside Baghdad. An attendant was burning them as fuel to cook a dinner of smoked carp. New York Times, December 14, 2011, by Michael S. Schmidt. The same thing happened on 9/11. They slipped out. Words will do that. Slip out. Just when you think you've bombed a building, just when you think it's all smoke and gray ash, words start floating down like smart bombs. Words like memo and message meet love and happy birthday. Numbers too, those sneaky things, just fly right out upon a breeze. So no, it doesn't surprise me. Transcripts were found near a cooking fire, near an old man cooking fish, near a trailer in a yard. Left behind and marked top secret with a red pen and yellow too. From Colonel redacted, to redacted, redacted, testimony on Haditha, piled bodies, slit throats, and children. There was, you know, over and over. I don't know, now and again. Then more, piled bodies, soccer fields, women and old men. But isn't it funny too, in an eerie sort of way? Try though we might to run from our violence, words will find their way out. Thank you.
Thank you, Paloma. And this year's judge decided not to do honorable mentions for that category. So we're going to move on to the Ruth Morris Moose Sestina Award. And our first place winner for that is Mary O'Keefe Brady with Starbucks Sestina. Mary O'Keefe couldn't attend, so she did ask me to read this, so I will do so now. Starbucks Sestina, excuse me. Clouds billow, unadorned above tangled traffic, like Maryland's skirt above the subway grate, or a poof of air escaped from coffee machines, steaming milk for lattes and cappuccinos, Starbucks lines circle the sidewalks, where passerby bustle with briefcase and umbrellas. Dodging puddles and poking each other with oversized umbrellas, they weave in and out of stalled traffic, clogging sidewalks. With their humanity, trains rumble below the grate as caffeine-starved workers hurry to their cappuccinos, make a beeline to the hunkering machines. Ignore the blank sea of faces, cogs, and machines, swarming like beetles under armor of black umbrellas, or worker ants delivering cappuccinos to Italian overlords. The traffic never ceases, grates on finely wrought nerves, wet sidewalks. Succumb to treacherous sidewalks as clouds unleash torrents and machines, crescendo their high notes like opera singers, great, high-pitched hissing sounds that even oversized umbrellas cannot deflect. A break in traffic allows me to cross the street, my mind focused on cappuccinos, fixated on cappuccinos and cannoli-clotted sidewalks and bistro tables on cobbled streets with no traffic, no machines, no gargantuan umbrellas, harsh words or unkind gestures to grate, or on sopping wet nerves, unable to grate on anything without the first sip of cappuccino. Battling umbrellas block my entrance, obstruct the sidewalk. In front of my favorite Starbucks machine, like I buzz through this uncaring human traffic and approach the great, mighty cappuccino machine that banishes traffic, outlaws umbrellas, and unfurls empty sidewalks. Second place for this category went to Tracy Davidson from England with Where Blue Birds Fly. And Tracy could not attend today. Honorable mention goes to Leanne Gillen for Competitors. Leanne, are you here?
I am.
All right.
Yep, coming to you from Chattanooga, not as far as Whitehorse, but best we could do. And delighted to be able to finally attend one of these sessions since I left North Carolina 3 years ago. It's wonderful to see old friends. Competitors. Clouds scud the sky as I sail on my bark with the love of my life. On this April morning, we sit surrounded by the scraps of sailing. The cushions and coolers push us. Her golden hair shines as the sun spills from behind a cloud. I help her to jump up on the dock. As we stroll, my thoughts jump to the tension with neighbor, Max, whose bark, although worse than his bite, threatens to spill over into my romance with April. Her feelings toward me, I cannot push. I float in a sea of broken dreams, scraps of memories. No, I must clutch those scraps and fragments of our life together, jump this ship of despair and seek her out. Push my case, a bitter medicinal bark. I cherish plans for my life with April. Details of travels together would spill from my lips, but still secrets. I can't spill my plans just yet. Something special, not scraps. Her heart holds my happiness. Oh, April, through any detour, I would crawl or jump, waiting to hear your warm, welcoming bark. Feel your soft, silky retriever paws push on my chest. Max next door won't stop his push for your love. His big feet snarl in a spill. I shut my windows, that incessant bark. A ball firm in his mouth from backyard scraps. He thumps both paws and his hindquarters jump. I won't let him come twixt me and April. Me, selfish? I care so much for April. Her gold eyes dart from me to the nose pushed up against the fence. Will she really jump from my affections? Does her heart still spill over with love and longing for this scrapyard Romeo with his passionate bark? I unhinge the latch gate, and April jumps into Max's scraps. They tumble and spill. I push the gate closed and echo her bark.
Thank you, Leanne. And our second honorable mention for this is Robert Keeler with Naughty Cockleburl Artful Iris.
Naughty Cockleburr Artful Iris. Damn, sand in my shoes and on my left sleeve, a rabid cockleburr with stem. I'll bet this prickly object latched on when my coat pillowed our recent tryst. Well, inside my vase sit last night's mementos, 2 bright irises, rough burr lined with smooth flower, an echo of old rites, man praising woman. Oh, we've drifted out to sea so far, so fast, I only meant to charm. What's the essence, my God, of her bewitching charm? When we're apart, my heart's long out on my sleeve, and for a lovely gutter worm I have more praise than for that singular moon. Apart, I'm keen for rovers who'd object their deafness unto her, who'd sing, what hair so soft, my lovely iris. Don't heed them, please. You'll be most rewarded at our coming tryst. Damn all women and her. At first, with purest thoughts, they tryst a man's gentle, lamb-like nature. But when they commence to charm with sighs and perfumed hands, his iris swells to match the girth of mighty Bunyan's sleeve. Then his nature changes, intentions veer to base. No wonder they object. In woman's mind, it was purely his design. In penance, man can only praise. Joy, ache, joy, where does the balance rest? That I cannot praise. Now, hooked like a dumb fish, I flounder toward tomorrow's tryst. But I wonder, how goes the object of my sweet contempt? I'll bet she lolls in some chick shop. She draws a charm, slowly back and forth across a slender wrist, while at her sleeve a seamstress deftly pins and shapes a cloth of many-colored iris. Last evening, beside our bower, I knelt to wrench 2 yellow irises from steaming mud. For you, I offered, your blessed soul to praise. She reached, but when she glanced along my arm, recoiled. Your sleeve, it's caked with muck. Go away, clean yourself. Tonight will be no tryst. I stared and choked, but then I swear she worked her charm. Her gaze went level, her lips occult, and I could no further object. Balls, just to hurl this wretched vase against a nearby stony object. The burr, of course, would fall. The blow would smash her pale irises. Calm, calm, she'd be so startled. She might withhold her youthful charms. Last night, after, so blissful, she kissed me, whispered, praise our earth-born bodies. Heaven's not for us, dear, it frowns upon such trysts. She leaned to me and raised her mouth, her hand pulled up my sleeve. Rough cockleburr line, a long, smooth iris, a charm, a talisman, to praise our love and bind us close? Well, bless hell. Tonight, for sure, another tryst, my only object there, to savor a deepest consolation of her tender sleeve. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. All right, our next award is the Heyman Poetry of Love Award, and this was judged by Dr. Marcia L. Hurlow from Asbury University in Kentucky. And our first place award winner is Joanne Hoffman for My Father Listened. Joanne?
Thank you, Craig. My father listened. When I was small, my brother and sister mocked me when I tripped over the prayer before meals. I would cry. I wanted to pray my very best. So my father took me into the coat closet in the front hall and closed the door. Say the prayer, he whispered into the woolly dark, his warm hand on my head. I dropped my halting words into the long candle of light leaking from under the door, and my father listened. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Okay, second place award for Poetry of Love is Kathy Ackerman with Blondie's Howl.
Blondie's Howl. Our guide on the Rio Frio is in love with a howler he calls Blondie. Spontaneous color break, freak of nature, 1 in 2 million. He calls her out on every tourist cruise if the rain has stopped and she is hungry. He imitates the howl of the male as if somewhere in his diaphragm there beats a vestigial primate heart, in love since the beginning. His own heart breaks to know she is rejected by male and female too. Black is the only way to be in this jungle. So he carves her from a rosewood block, smaller than his palm. So when he folds his fingers down, he holds her body wholly. He makes her strong, but sad enough to steal the purse of sympathy. We take these duplications home all over the world, Blondie's only chance at reproduction.
Thank you, Kathy. And for honorable mention, we have Patricia Deaton with At Play. Patricia?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, good. At Play. She signs my autograph book, and I'm so excited until her brother grabs it out of my hands and runs, looking back to see if I will chase him. I yell, "Stop, thief!" Cut him off by the hemlock, rough him up a little until he escapes with the book, and I yell, "Stop!" once more. She starts calling from the swing set, "Announce me again, announce me again." So I call through curled fist megaphone, "Here today for your viewing pleasure, Princess Charlotte Aguilar, high on the trapeze after years of practicing." "How long have you practiced?" "Since she was 0 years old, ladies and gentlemen. She's worked all her life, 6 long years to get this far. Now watch her death-defying act, high above the ground, no safety net to catch her if she falls. Wow! The judges give her a 10. The crowd loves her." He runs by again, just out of reach, laughing, "I got your book." And for a while it continues. She's famous, and a 3-year-old remains at large with an imaginary autograph book that we pretend he has stolen. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. And we had 2 other honorable mentions for the Heyman Award. Laura Alderson with Backstory for the Beautiful Abandoned, and Mary Hennessy for the Best Courage Against All Odds. Neither of them could attend today. So we will move on to the Joanna Catherine Scott Award. No, I'm sorry, we already did that one. My bad. We will move on to the Pool Award. Let me get there. Here we go. Mary Ruffin Pool American Heritage Award, which was judged by Sarah McCart Jackson. And our first place winner is Benjamin Cutler with A Fall Language.
A fall language. The trees in fall begin to feel one another for the first time. The wind breathed in leafless bend of branched body against branched body. This sound is nothing like the voiceless dead shudder of bones, but a language. Old summer-held secrets whispered in earnest before the cold and white silence. All they have weathered and wished to weather, each lost leaf a dry and dropped syllable. When there are no green words left to warm us, doesn't all language sound like one desperation rubbing against another? Listen, there is so much left to say, so much left, so much. So we should reach and touch each other with what is bare, with what remains of us, if we are to speak our hope at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Benjamin. Our second place award for the Pool Award was Andrew Taylor Troutman with Kinship. And Andrew could not attend today. And then for honorable mention, we have Lucia Walton Robinson with Deep Stony. Lucia? Go ahead and unmute your mic. Can't unmute your mic. You want me to read it? I'm sorry, I'd forgotten about that. That's right. Lucia had said that she has mic trouble, so I will read her poem for her. Sometimes I think the lake was my true mother, letting me play on her bosom, soothing my cares, with glory, light, and bounty of creation. Dappled dawn deer, swimming otter streak, snapping turtle, and the friendly paint, heron swoop and gull soar, wily trout and lurking cantankerous pike, sun spark glinting, storm cloud overshading, spruce image, God mirror, toe cold, sand soft, swamp muck, suck of weeds, lily pads, green salver, modest drooping willow, awkward crash of crawdad setting green purple beetle darting. Here I found flight and grace, the soar of sail, sun shafts kissing trembling tree, swift moon trail of canoe through light beam, small girl treading God silver, and sudden threat of storm, near drowned death, snatched in time for friendlier sails, but owing proper homage, love, and fear. On her and by her and in her I grew strong, filtered my sorrow, fed from her unfathomed, secret spring, blessing and renewing earth and me. And our final award category is the Thomas McDill Award. Our judge was Adam Day. And our first place winner was Martin Settle with Remnants.
Remnants. 1. Or let me back up. Remnants. It's the epigraph is Thinking is Polytheistic by Paul Shepard. 1. Monadnock in Stone Mountain State Park, a partially buried skull with nimbus of vultures. Climbers go up a fissure like scientists with tape measures. 2. Visitor Center displays a mounted black bear, old saint of religions of caves and rebirth. Homesteading tools cover walls, artifacts of early conquest. 3. At the trailhead, a Coke machine begs offerings from pilgrims. I climb in silence through oak hickory forest. Blaze-marked trails make it difficult to forget human presence. 4. A scent draws me from the path into a moss-covered ravine. She is there before an overhang, goddess in white cymes, backlit by a filtered sun. Her name is not in my tree guide. 5. I am lost, gratefully for a while, making my own path up to the summit. Smooth, igneous rock is pocked with islands of pine. I take off my socks and shoes for a closer grip. 6. In humility of no roads, the view is almost virginal. I imagine wilderness without end, filled with numinous nooks. I want to build a cairn, but among the rocks, a soda can. New God that is ubiquitous. 7. When the park closes, the sun sets with colors of a polluting presence. The moon rises and a cult of remnant creatures come out of sacred groves. They worship in the ancient ways, beneath a haloed moon, the moon that was a god before the bootprints of monotheism. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. And our second place award for MacDill Award is Stephen Pollock with Steve's Balloons.
Craig, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
This poem is entitled Steve's Balloons. In our dreams, dreams are like balloons, light and round and always, always rising. As I drove through Haw River, a one-church town in the south, I caught a glimpse of their maker and stopped to reflect. The store was boarded up, its gravel parking lot weedy and empty of cars. And I saw where plastic letters had been taken down from the faded roof, leaving a less faded stencil of the words, Steve's Balloons. He must have lived here, this namesake of mine, amid these rural ruins, the porches in disrepair, the cracked pavement and telephone poles, and the strip mall the locals regard as their special version of Eden. I imagine the boyish optimism that inflated his hopes and buoyed his faith that a worn and weary town would find perpetual cause to celebrate. I saw then that balloons are not at all round, but are shaped like tears. That a dream is not so much that scrap of rubber on the ground as the breath that once filled it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. And that concludes our readings. There were no honorable mentions for MacDill, so we have gone through the whole process. Thank you, everyone, so much for attending. You know, it's a bit rough to not be able to see you all in person and personally hand you your awards, but this has been an incredible year for me working on this contest, and you all did yourself extremely proud on today's effort. So round of applause for everybody.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you, everyone. It's been wonderful.
Craig and Joyce C and Malika.
That was great.
Fabulous, fabulous.
Thanks
for
Tell
everyone.
everyone how great a time you had on any social media. Tell them. Tell them you should have been here. Tell them to be here next time.
Come and visit me out in Seattle sometime.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Sure, we're on our way.
Now. Thank you. Bye.
That was an amazing amount of work for all of you, Craig.
It's so wonderful. I'm so happy to be a part of this organization because, you know, I get to hear such great work. You got, you know, you really have inspired me to get back to work.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for all the organization. Thanks to everyone for everything.
Thank you.
So great to meet y'all.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Jeanne. Bye, Malika.
So good to
Malika,
see you.
Malika, want to say any
Thank
final
you.
words before we
See you next
before we
time.
sign off?
Yeah. Just thank y'all so very much.
Bill Griffin.
Wonderful job. Wonderful job to all the hard work behind the scenes and all the poets, the people that were here in attendance. At one point we had over 65 people.
Yep.
So
That's wonderful.
be well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Amazing poets. This is an incredible group of people that put out some incredible work. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So say
I
we
can't wait to get my pine song.
And also beautiful.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Thanks for all the work.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Malika, should we hang around for the briefing? Or is she gone? Is she gone?
Oh no, I'm right here. I can't leave. Since I'm the host, I stay till then.
Captain of the ship.
The living end.
Can't abandon ship.
That's right.
Down to 18 diehards.
Yeah, right.
Take
Fantastic
care,
job,
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks
Bye.
for all your work on that.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Keep writing.
There we go.
Be
Bye.
well.
Good to see you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Les. Thank you. What a great group.
Oh my goodness, what a fun day.
Yeah. So a lot easier cleanup, people.
Yeah.
Right?
About 10 minutes
For
ago, I was like,
sure.
The drive home's not too bad.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for pitching in and just doing your thing. It makes, everything just easier when everybody just does their bit. It's really, I just thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I think it worked out great. One of the things that's interesting is usually our peak at physical stuff is in the morning.
Mhm.
In the morning, we peaked at 50. After the kids left for the open mic, we were down to around 32, but after lunch, we were up as high as 65.
Yeah.
And we closed at 40. So it's been a very
That's
nice
excellent.
attendance. And
That's what I was going to point out, Paul. I actually think this was a more successful. I know people had real concerns, and I am not knocking the in-person. There's something so beautiful about that.
Yeah.
But I do think it made participation for some people possible.
Several people invited their friends, I
Yes.
think the woman in Texas and someone else on Facebook.
Oh, that's great. You've got a bird in the background, Paul.
Oh, well,
And I did
yeah,
take
they've been feeding, and this is real life behind me.
I love it.
I did take Joan's
Which is not always true.
perspective, and I reposted it with the link they could just push. First started when she said that, so I pushed that back up onto the Facebook page. So
that was good.
Yeah.
At any rate, everybody did a great job of moderating. I'm sorry that Joan and Ariana have left because they really did a great job with the.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's Ariana. She's still there.
Hi, Ariana.
Hey, Ariana.
Nice work, Ariana.
She's muted everything, so we may not.
And Craig.
But yeah,
And who else?
the-
Malika.
we had you guys are great. It's by the way, using the hand raise, if people know that, it just lines people right up, and then you don't
It's
even
really
know
convenient.
this, so it's very easy. I've used that in class, so if you have to do that kind of thing, it's a pretty good way of managing the open reading part too, open mic.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Well,
Thanks so much, Celestine, for setting all this up, and thanks, Malika, for.
She's becoming our techie now.
Oh, there is no way we can safely say that's not possible.
But I think that I don't think it's either or. I think it's and.
Yeah, I think you're right.
At this point, I think it's and.
What will come back is we'll want to do together, but then we can invite people to come in. We just need to work on some sort of projection if we want to have people read from a distance, for example.
What they said, the need is the mother of invention. So I think that's
Right.
Yeah.
example of this.
Well, I was pleased to see too that in terms of the folks who I had who had pre-emailed me saying they were going to attend, all of them did.
Oh, good.
That's
And
good.
some of them who did not respond saying they were coming did come. So I had extra, more than I expected. So I was very pleased to see that.
You guys, as a spectator, this was amazing. I mean, as a spectator, it was, I can't get over it. It was very well done.
Yeah.
I think it was
I
really.
was thinking right after lunch there when I saw 65, we're going viral. There's going to be 1,000, 2,000.
No, we're at 65 is good.
Well, normally we don't have 65, right?
I don't think so.
After lunch, before lunch, we usually have 100.
Including children and their families, we typically had about that much for awards day.
Well, that's right.
But after lunch was town.
Yeah, it was in the afternoon.
So, All right, guys, I am going to cup of coffee. I've got another set of meetings at 3:30.
Okay.
So,
Well,
thank you guys.
Bye. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Thank you for everything you
Next
did.
time.
Hope to see you guys soon.
Yep.
Oh, it'll
Okay.
happen.
Hopefully.
One form or another.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Are they done?
Yes.
Is it over?
I mean, yes.